Yo, what is going on YouTube? It's Has a Gold here with my predictions for the Belgium Grand Prix that's happening in a few weeks time. I know this video is extremely early, but I'll be going on holiday in 2 days time, so I won't have a chance to make one, unfortunately. But anyway, here we are. This in the background here is going to be some gameplay, which is just casual gameplay. There's nothing special. It's just me racing as Nico Hulkenberg in the Force India in a 3-lap race, as I set that off now. And so yeah, let's get into the predictions. Now, I'll go through each team. I won't just predict the top 10, I'll go through each team. And we'll start with Red Bull as at the top. And Vettel, I think he's got a good chance this weekend. He drove from 11th to 2nd here last year. And I think he could do something similar this year, but apart from starting a bit higher up the grid, I think he'll do pretty well. But I can't see him winning because this sector in now, the first sector and the last sector, his car will lose out too much. And he won't be able to gain all that time back in the second sector because Red Bull does corners and it doesn't do straights, which means their car is only suited to one sector of this track compared to the others. And I think that'll be similar in this case with Mark Webber as well. I think that what he'll have is a pretty average weekend. I hope he does better than Vettel, but it's going to be challenging for him, especially after Hungary, where he didn't really get into the fight for the lead too much. He was sort of battling with Jenson Button back there. So I think he'll have a good weekend. Hopefully he could beat Sebastian if he's done that like he did on the Top Gear the other day. I think he'll be feeling pretty good with himself. And then let's move on to the next team, which I'm going to say is McLaren. I know they're not from, but going through the teams doesn't really matter. McLaren, Button, I think he'll have another solid race here at Hungary. He's won here before, I believe. Yes, he has won here before, just checking my notes there. He has won here, and I think his teammate could also stand a chance, but I doubt they're not going to be in contention for the win, unfortunately. They're just not going to be there, because their car, the downforce is just not there, which you need, especially in the second sector. But apart from that, I think they won't be too bad. I think maybe a 5th, possibly a 4th if something goes wrong, like last year. For McLaren at best. And Perez, I think he'll have a good race. He'll be fighting for like 8th and 9th, I think. He'll be that sort of area. He'll be fighting around, scoring points though, main thing. And then after that, we'll go to Ferrari, which I think Alonso and Massa are going to be very evenly matched at this track. They were last year, but unfortunately didn't get to see it in the race because Grosjean decided to take everyone out. But I mean, I think if they get away from the first corner, I think they're doing pretty well. Like in the race, I think maybe possibly a podium for Alonso and maybe a 5th or 4th. Massa will be fighting with Button, I think, throughout this race, which would be good to see. So I think Massa will be doing standard, and Alonso, I think he quite likes this track, but the Ferrari pace isn't there like the downforce at the minute, so. Unfortunately, I can't see him doing too great. I don't think they'll win the Grand Prix, but I don't think they'll be far off the pace. And then we're going to head to Mercedes. Now, I think they are genuine title contenders this year, even though they're so far back. But for either title, I think they can be there. This race, I think they'll definitely win in qualifying because a longer track means bigger distance between cars. Like, you could have a second between 1st and 10th at this track, while in Brazil, 1st and 10th may be split by 5 tenths even, like half a second. But I think they won't be too bad. Mercedes pacing the race, I think they're sort of getting over their tyre issues now. So I doubt they'll be doing that bad. But I think the tyres will pay sort of dividends towards the end, giving the race possibly to Red Bull. But I think they should have a strong showing. Lewis Hamilton, I think he's much in a happier place than Nico Rosberg at the minute because he won the last Grand Prix in Hungary. He's going to be the one feeling the best out of every driver on the grid going into this summer break. But I think that also Rosberg, I think he'll have a strong showing. I think he really wants to beat his teammate now because Lewis has sort of established himself in Mercedes now. He's got no more excuses. So I think he'll be there or thereabouts with Lewis Hamilton. So I think it should be a great fight between them, I really do, but Rosberg hasn't had the edge over Hamilton for quite some time. I'd like to see it come back. But anyway, on to our next team, and that is going to be Lotus. And Raikkonen, I think he can be like the dark horse in this race. I think he has the potential to actually win the Grand Prix. I know it sounds a bit weird, and Grosjean as well. If we never saw their pace last year, well, we saw Raikkonen, but we never saw Grosjean's pace, and he qualified up near the front, I believe. So never know. Grosjean, I say he's going to be fighting with the Red Bulls for the podium along with his teammate and the Mercedes. And I think Raikkonen, he'll have a quietly good Grand Prix, maybe similar to Australia, but maybe not so high up the field. He could win it, but he needs something like a safety car, which is always on the cards here, or the weather, of course. Let's head into our midfield teams now. We're going to start with Force India. I think it'll be another strong showing for them this weekend. I remember last year Paul Di Resto finished 10th with a KERS problem, and I can't exactly remember what happened to Nico Hülkenberg, who was driving then. But I think, he finished really high up the grid, didn't he? I think it was 5th or 6th. So I'm predicting another strong showing for Force India here. I think they'll be doing fairly well, and if they don't score points at all, they'll be really disappointing. I think this was their last major big score in the Grand Prix. So, in a Grand Prix last season, like double cars in the points, scoring decently. I think this is their last. If they screw this up, they're going to slide down and definitely lose out their fight to McLaren. But I doubt that will happen. They're a professional team. I think they'll have another strong weekend, maybe 7th to 9th in the points, fighting with Perez and McLaren. And onto our next midfield runner, which we're going to say is Sauber. They're sort of back midfield, but they're midfield. I think I'm just not sure about Sauber really. They're there some days and then not there other days. The only proper team they're beating in the championship is Williams, who have had difficulties. They've come out of that, but Sauber just admitted they just can't find downforce on their car. But I think they'll be running just outside the top 10. Probably Hülkenberg in front of Gutierrez. That's something I'm pretty sure of. Not because of a team orders or anything. It's just a pure pace. I think this will try to give Gutierrez a chance to really step up his game, because he did this race in GP2, and I think he'll be up for another strong finish here, possibly 11th, 12th. Lucky, if he's lucky, he'll come into the top 10. And Hülkenberg, I think he has a realistic shot at the top 10. Although I think something will happen to him. Like, I've got a feeling that what's going to happen is he's going to be in there, and then suddenly the weather's going to change, or he's on the wrong tyre strategy or something. But they definitely won't be as strong as they were last year, qualifying on the front 2 rows. They definitely won't be that strong this year, I can guarantee you that. Unless it's wet weather, which could happen. But I don't think this is going to be... Sauber's been on a good streak of late, and I don't think this is going to continue, unfortunately. But you never know. Hülkenberg has some good races around here with Force India. He knows the track pretty well, so hopefully he could do well for Sauber. And a few more points. And Gutierrez, fingers crossed he can get his first point in the championship, but don't be surprised if he doesn't. Next we'll move on to Williams. Pastor Maldonado saw his first point for them in the last Grand Prix, and I think he has a chance of doing it this Grand Prix as well, although Williams typically has not gone well at this track. I mean, last year Senna qualified last of the midfield teams, and I think Maldonado he qualified in the top 10, but I don't think he really got anywhere in the race, sort of faded back. Hungary was the track that suited them much more than this, but I can't see him getting points this weekend. Bottas, we never know around this track, he could be super fast, but whenever I've seen him here, I haven't seen him to be anything special around here. But you never know. I doubt Williams will score a point this weekend. I think Maldonado will get the better of Bottas as long as his front wing doesn't fall off, or he doesn't park in the gravel. But I think Bottas will be trying to beat the Toro Rossos, the Saubers. That's the main fight for Williams, is the Saubers. Now fingers crossed they could beat him this weekend. But next team is Toro Rosso. Toro Rosso are a team that is currently doing really well at the minute, until they got to Hungary, unfortunately for them. Because what happened was Daniel Ricciardo did a great job qualifying in the top 10. I think it was around 6th or 7th. But unfortunately he couldn't translate that into race pace and fell back to 14th during the race, which is not good at all. So fingers crossed he can do better this weekend. Toro Rosso does have high speed corners here, which I think suits their car. So that I'm expecting a strong showing from Toro Rosso this weekend. Possibly getting into both cars into the top 10 in qualifying. That depends on Jean-Eric Vergne. I think Ricciardo's definitely got the pace, but Jean-Eric Vergne is a bit unknown, so I'm not too sure about that. But fingers crossed they can both get into the top 10 in qualifying and stay there in the race as well. Toro Rosso are my favourite team, for those of you who don't know, so fingers crossed they could do well. Then finally to the battle of the back between Marussia and Caterham. I think Caterham will have the edge over Marussia because they've had the edge over the last few Grand Prix, and I don't think Marussia have brought any significant upgrades to the car in order to propel their performance. But I think it'll be a good race between them. I know it's a long track, but I think they'll be pretty closely matched on the grid, excuse me. And I definitely think Caterham will have the better advantage over Marussia, but I like Marussia and I hope they do well, but I can only see Caterham getting into like the best position, if that makes sense. I think Van der Garde, it'll be slightly at weakness here. I don't remember him having any good races in GP2, and same with Max Chilton, but they'll probably end up being about 5 or 6 seconds off the pace in qualifying, probably about that distance in lap time as well. So anyway, that's been my predictions for the Spa Grand Prix in Belgium. Please make sure you like, comment, subscribe for more. I know this is very early, but as I said, I'm going on holiday. This gameplay is very casual, as I said, the great fight of the Saubers. But anyway, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and has a gold, and I'm out of here. Bye.